Hi, welcome to Concussion Talk Podcast, episode 96. And we're talking about vision therapy today. And it's with Dr. Sarah Hutchens and just Kara Osmond. We'll call her Kara Osmond. That's a little inside joke that I probably shouldn't have started with, but anyway. And we'll talk about vision therapy, what happens to your sight after a brain injury generally, or what is seen then, what's wrong with my eyes, and what Kara and Sarah are doing to fix, and Dr. Hutchens, Kara and Dr. Hutchens are doing to fix my eyes. And I'll try to fix my eyes. It's been a long time. But first, I'll take a break for a sponsor. Concussion Talk Podcast is presented by HeadCheck Health. HeadCheck Health bridges the gaps in concussion care through simple, powerful technology. Join organizations like the Canadian Football League, Track Factory Racing, the Canadian Junior Hockey League, Eastern Washington University, and Volleyball Canada, who rely on HeadCheck Health to improve communication and optimize care. Visit headcheckhealth.com for more. Okay, so Dr. Hutchens, would you like to introduce yourself first and talk about what you do and what your, I guess you can start out with saying what the clinic does, what the Vision Development Center does.
Sure. Thanks, Nick, for chatting with us today. So I am Sarah Hutchens, and I'm an optometrist, and my interest is in developmental and behavioral optometry. So it's more than about seeing 20/20. So the visual system everybody thinks about is just glasses and can you see that small line? And there's so much more to it. And what we do here at the Vision Development Center is we focus on how does your vision impact your day-to-day life? How does it impact your ability to read? How does it impact your ability to get around? So I started the Vision Development Center just this year, and I just got my fellowship this year in that means that I am board certified in vision therapy, vision development, and neurovisual rehab, which is specifically the concussion part of it. So we have two vision therapists here. Kara is one, Jean is the other, and they work directly with patients one-on-one to help in the rehab side of things. Excellent. And I guess so Kara, what do you do there? What's your role? What's your job title?
So I am a vision therapist. I work one-on-one with patients. So we do 45-minute to an hour sessions once a week. And we work depending on their specific case. We work on exercises to develop different skills that their eyes need to build up. Sometimes it's skills that you lost in a concussion or things that are more difficult for you because of your concussion. Or we also work with people who have eye turns and kids with learning disabilities. So kind of isolating individual skills and building them up so that they can kind of function more easily in their everyday life.
Great. Well, I guess we'll go back to Dr. Hutchens now. And I came in March, I think it was, and you examined me. And first of all, what do you generally see after someone has a concussion or brain injury? What are you looking for? What's the thing that indicates that this person's eyes can be fixed or need help?
After a concussion, oftentimes there are visual impacts. So about up to 50 to 90%, the ranges vary, of people after a concussion have some type of visual impact. And the reason is because vision isn't in the eye, vision's in the brain. So you got a hit in the head, and because your head got a knock, it doesn't matter where you got hit. More than 50% of the brain is in visual processing. So some part of your vision is going to be affected. So it can range from having light sensitivity to your eyes not converging well together, so they don't point quite appropriately enough together when you're reading. You can have an accommodative problem, so a focusing problem. You could be very overwhelmed in visually stimulated environments. So like the grocery store could be very bothersome.
Light and stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes people have more impacts, like more severe, like what you have with actually seeing double vision all the time.
Yeah. So I guess I'm going to break into what I've had 3 eye surgeries to try to fix my double vision, which I've had since I'm brain injury in August 1st of 2003. I had my first emergency surgery after the accident because I was in a coma. But then I waited 7 years until I got, or 6.5 years until I got first real surgery on my eyes, and I worked with the neurologist first before surgery, and just popped me in surgery, and but now I'm doing vision therapy with, well, not, now I'm on a break, but I will be starting back up with vision therapy in September with Kara, and yeah, so I guess my eyes are obviously more complicated than the concussion because I had the severe brain injury. My head was obviously more impacted that stuff than most concussed patients. But so I'll ask actually Dr. Hutchens again. Sorry, Kara. So we'll get to you. But
any questions?
When you examine me, what is up with my eyes? This is my question.
So even though you have had the surgeries that they try to align your eyes to point in the appropriate direction, they still don't.
No.
What's happening though is one eye points inward and down. Okay. Or is it up? It's up, in and up. Okay, so your left eye is in and up. The right eye is usually pointing straight ahead. So your brain is getting two mixed messages of, I see two images. If you had this happen when you were 2 years old,
yeah,
you had an eye turn, then your brain would start to learn to ignore the eye that was in and up. But because you have a fully developed visual system and you were an adult when you had your injury, now your brain is saying, well, I don't know what to do with this. There's two images at the same time, but you just can't shut the eyes off. So then you have double vision, and likely, I don't know, but your eye also has a cyclo component as well, meaning it turns inward slightly. So that's why when you see the second image, you know how it's slanted?
Yeah.
So it's because of the cyclo component. And I would say that that's likely a side effect of the surgery.
Right.
When they're cutting all the muscles, it's hard to know exactly how much to cut and where to put it. And then it could end up still being turned in. So that's what's going on. It's still turned in.
Thanks.
And up and cyclo.
My left eye is messed, and my red eye is pretty good. But my left eye, not so good. We got Kara, who is gonna trying now. I don't know how much, but she's trying hard, and seems to be working for 6 weeks. And when I go back to September, you're on the spot because you got to get my eyes fixed. And so what are you doing, and how would you try to align, ready work with a patient like me, for example, or like or just concussed patient?
Well, specifically with you, it's pretty different than a typical concussion patient. Right. So typical concussion patient is likely not getting double vision for all the time. We're working on more basic, like can their eyes, can we get pursuits, which is fluid eye movement? Can your eyes jump from spot to spot? Trying to deal with peripheral vision, that type of thing. With you, we're working on building up control in your eyes. So we want your ability to move your eyes and move the image to be stronger so that you can put your two images together. Right. So we're working on right now finding a spot where you can fuse your images, so where your two separate images go on top of each other. Right. And then we're going to also eventually try to get it so that you can see images vertically. And we're going to try and deal with that twist.
There's hands and there's scientific.
yeah, I'm using my hands. I use my hands a lot trying to explain what's going on.
Who knows? So what exercises are, and we'll guess like Dr. Hutchens, how do these exercises work to try to rehabilitate your eyes, like to fix vision of let's just say of a normally concussed patient, not like, I know I'm kind of out of wrinkles and everything, but so like the people you see all the time. So how would these exercises, when Kara is doing exercises, what is she trying to do?
We're trying to change the brain's pathways. Because the brain and the eyes work together to see, we are trying to create new neural pathways because the pathways have been damaged because of the concussion. We're trying to rebuild those pathways rather than create new ones, I guess. Try to rebuild them so that the brain can know where to point the eyes, how to point the eyes, and how to use the eyes efficiently. and also to be able to deal with the incoming visual information better.
Okay. And what exercises? I'll use exercises as examples and stuff. So I just showed you, I didn't show Dr. Hutchens, but the peripheral thing so there's a letter chart on my wall which Kara gave me to take home, and which actually I own anyway. So and if you give me though 7 post-it notes to place around the image with one letter on them, and I'm supposed to stare at read the image, read the letters across, and then find out when the letter matches my outside letter by just staring at the letter chart. It's just not a good description, but maybe a good description, but it's hard to really know what I'm talking about. But so Carol, what are you trying to do there?
So this is a peripheral vision exercise. So we're trying to engage your periphery as much as we can. Your eye is turning in right now, and so it doesn't like to process as much information. The more we process outside information other than what you're looking directly at, the easier it's going to be for you to be able to control your eye and to be able to kind of integrate all of your vision at once. So the more we use your peripheral vision, the more control your eye is going to be able to develop. Does that make sense? That's right.
Like, peripheral vision is super important, and people just think of, oh yeah, I can see my hand out to the side. But you never think you use your peripheral vision in reading, but you do, because you're looking at one word and your periphery is processing what's coming next. So
Right.
you know how to jump your eyes to the next word, because we don't read every word when we're reading a piece of text. We just read so much of it, and your eyes skip over the small parts, and we can pre-process what's to come. So you're still using peripheral vision even when you're reading.
Right, because you don't read each letter separately.
It's like chunks of information at a time.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And there's a bunch more exercises I have that like I said, go into, but I'll now just ask you guys to just guess. Now it's a bit late, but still, to your background. So why you came into vision therapy and optometry. So it's kind of reverting back. So I guess Dr. Hutchens, Dr. Hutchens, you go first. And how'd you get into this?
After optometry school, I did general optometry for about 6 or 7 years, and I didn't enjoy binocular vision, so eye teaming work. I honestly didn't buy into it. So that's the honest truth.
Yeah.
And then I had this one young girl who came in, and she's always my why that I did this. I call her my why.
Yeah.
And she was having trouble reading, and she also had an eye turn. So I had completed a course in vision therapy, but I still never went back to it. And then after having her come in, I said, I'll try one more course to see if I could help her, because nobody can help this girl here. And I did, and it worked, and she did really well. And she did well with reading. She was able to ride a scooter for the first time in her life, and we straightened her eye. So after that, I started to fully believe in this. And it's something that a lot of people are unaware of. And people, sometimes they question it because it's something that's a bit different. But to me, it doesn't bother me that much, because I know that it works and I've seen it work.
Yeah.
So it can really help. Sometimes people have no other option left, and that's when they come to us, which is sad, but then we are the people who can often help.
Right. I know, seeing just as 6 weeks I was doing the vision therapy, my eyes still felt better. They still feel good now, and I've been off for for 4 weeks, 3 weeks. Anyway, wow, let's say that, because I've done it. I don't want to bother calculating it. But so Kara, how did you get into? Why did you decide vision therapist is a good role to me?
I sort of fell into it. I moved to Ontario with my husband, and was looking for a job. He got into a PhD program there.
Yeah.
And I got a job in vision therapy. I was trained on the job, and I just fell in love with it. I started working one-on-one with people. It's pretty hard to deny, once you've been doing it for a few weeks, what kind of difference it makes in people's lives, especially concussion patients. You see a lot of people who start out not being able to leave their basements and then going back to being able to work and spend time with people. Concussion really makes socializing difficult. It makes crowded environments really difficult. Getting back to that periphery stuff we were talking to, if your brain's refusing to process information that you're seeing, that's a very stressful, anxious feeling. People's light sensitivity mean they can't go outside very much. And so seeing that transition in people, also watching kids have their grades go up in school and having their self-esteem go up because they're realizing it's their vision, they're not stupid. Right. That's a big deal for a lot of kids, and I just love it. I love working one-on-one with people, and that so when I moved back to Newfoundland, I got a job here.
Nice. So actually, that's your last thing about the kids, like realizing that going to school and realizing that it's not their fault. It's not like they're stupid. It's just their vision's messed up. So I don't know if you guys can both chip in on this. Do you need to sit down with patients the kids a lot of times when they just come in and their parents like this so-and-so Sally had a concussion and she's now not reading well, and she feels, do you have to sit down with the kid and say, look, it's just your eyes, or is it something that just happens over time after working with them and to explain to them what's going on?
It can be sudden. Most of the kids that we see, though, actually don't have a concussion.
Yeah.
More often have a focusing problem of some sort, not the attentional focus, but their eye muscles don't focus well. Right. Their eyes don't team well together. So it makes them unable to read well. So then they become the kids who are labeled as learning disabled, and they could be labeled as attention deficit. And there are kids who do have attentional issues, but a lot of kids might have trouble paying attention to reading because their eyes aren't allowing the information to be processed efficiently. Mm-hmm. So there are some concussion patients we have that are kids, but we definitely don't see a lot of kid concussion patients, more just kids having trouble in school and haven't had a head injury.
Mm-hmm. Do you find, sorry, Carrie, do you want to, okay.
I was just going to say, it's extra difficult to tell at first for kids because they don't know if it's happened their whole life before they started having to read. Right. They don't know something's wrong. This is how they've always seen. So some kids can see double their whole lives, and they don't know that people don't see double.
Yeah. We've had somebody come in and they said, I only realized at the age of 19 it's not normal to see double up close.
Yeah. That's well. Yeah, I didn't know any. I knew just like I knew only the regular vision up until I was 23, and now double really. So it's a split there. But so have you noticed any similarities between patients who say have, I don't know, you can tell me what concussion patients, do they have similar traits, similar like post-concussion traits to certain types of patients, kids to come in? Would you say?
I think so.
Yeah, concussion, the biggest thing I differentiate with concussion is that your symptoms tend to be more painful, really. Like kids tend to be frustrated and anxious, but if they have a learning disability or they're labeled learning disability, concussion tends to get a headache when they're trying to do the same activities. But most concussion patients we see will have headaches, light sensitivity, trouble reading, difficulty in busy environments.
Yeah, grocery stores or stores, in multiple conversations. Like when there's a lot of talking going on, they have trouble with that.
Yeah. And then kids will often have, it will be mostly a focusing issue, difficulty reading in school. A lot of kids that we have, once they've graduated, their parents will notice they're not fidgeting so much at the dinner table. They're not fidgeting. They can kind of focus better on sports and that kind of thing because they're able to kind of see one picture clearly. And so that's kind of how it plays out more often in kids. But we have had kids who have like headaches and that kind of thing too.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Cool. I'll try to think what else I can ask you about this concussion, but there must be something that I'm missing here. So if there's anything I am missing that's about, before I ask Karen more about, or Karen and Dr. Hutchens more about the exercises I have. So, is there anything that you think I'm missing out here that on vision therapy that's important that I'm just to leave it out?
I don't think you're missing anything. There is one thing that I wanted to add and talk about. So then for your listeners who have had a concussion and then they wonder if this could be wrong, but people don't think about the visual system very much as being an issue. And the one example that I give people is if you're thirsty, your brain tells you you're thirsty, and the first thing you do is you look for water. So your eyes are making saccades, which are jumping eye movements to find the water. And then you have to use vergence, which is eye teaming, to make the water single. And then you have to focus and accommodate to be able to make the water clear. So before you have actually reached and grabbed the water, you have already made 3 eye movements before you make a single body movement. And whether that water is in a cup or it's in a glass, you will automatically start to reach a certain way without having to process, oh, that's a cup, I need to grab it by the handle, or I should use my whole hand. And that all happens very quickly. So your visual processing is so important that you have all these visual aspects happening and you have never even thought about, I'm using my eyes to do this.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that now, that not like the in depth every time, but I reach for a glass, but I do know what I do follow you. And I think about it now after my eyes have been compromised, to say. And so I think about that more, about just how it affects my like balance, for example. I'm doing yoga and I'm swimming a lot, and then I noticed like and obviously, I mean, balance, walking and yoga and stuff is like vision is key for that too. So
it is. I don't know if you remember this one, Nick, but do you remember the test I did with you? I just did it with someone this morning, and it was wild. It was a great result, but you had to reach out and touch the star, and then you had to do it with your eyes closed.
Yes. And I
would and I did this with someone I just finished with a patient. So I had her try to touch the star with her eyes closed 5 times, and she missed every time. Then I put on prism glasses, and she hit it every time.
Yeah.
She looks at me, she's like, but how can this be? My eyes are closed.
Yeah.
And 4% of all the fibers from your eyes, they go to a different pathway that has nothing to do with sight, but it helps tell you where you are in space. So even though your eyes are closed, there are fibers that go from your eye to help you, let you know where you are and help you with your balance. So when you were talking about balance, some of the parts of the eye have nothing to do with actually can you see things. It's just where in space. So that's how that test works.
So even if I did say, I'll stick on this now. If I did yoga I do like the sitting down part of yoga with my eyes closed. But if I do like in the standing up exercises, should I should I? I'm not asking for advice on this, not doing I get in trouble, but it may not make a difference if I have my eyes closed. Say I'm doing like a tree pose, which you do is put one leg up your leg, and so should I? But not should I? Just stop asking that. But would it make much difference it may not make much difference if I have my eyes closed or if I have them open to do that, or is that more? Because they always say, look, your drishti, your focal point. You're looking if that's what they did for these in yoga.
Yeah, if you have your eyes open, you have much more, like you have a visual cue for your balance. So your balance has 3 things, which are your vision, your inner ears, and then the sensors in your feet, proprioception.
Yeah.
So those 3 things have to work together. So you take vision out, it is going to make your balance much more challenging.
Yes.
But the interesting thing is that if I stand up heel to toe and I look really hard at a target, like my focal point, but then I try to open my periphery and take more in while still looking at the focal point, my balance is better. Mm-hmm. So if you try to, even though you're looking still at the same target, but you try to relax and open that periphery and be aware, it tends to make you more grounded and better balanced. That
makes a lot of sense, obviously. And it's better because I notice when I say, okay, I'm going to hit this now and get this always better. And I really focus on one point. I can just focus on one point, mostly with my right eye, obviously. That is doing whatever it does. Mm-hmm. And but I find that if I was open just relax my eyes more. And so that's good. Good advice for yoga too, for walking in for life. And yes, so now Kara will get more into my on this. Yeah, we'll get more into on my exercises, right? But the exercise you use, what's your say? Let's just start with exercises you or things you do for patients, kids who have developmental eye problems, anything.
Sure. So we deal with kind of a few different sections. So like we were talking about before, we deal with periphery. Pretty much every patient that comes in here does some periphery work because you need your periphery for so much. For like Dr. Hutchens was talking about, you need to be able to see what's coming next in order to track and to jump your eyes. You need periphery for balance. You need periphery in order to handle a larger environment. Our periphery exists to protect us so that we can see something coming. So it's very stressful if you don't have periphery.
Nice.
So we deal with periphery exercises. We also deal with just looking at one target. So often when we started in vision therapy, we use one eye at a time, especially with younger kids. So we use an eye patch so that each of your eyes can handle an activity before we ask your brain to put two pictures together. Because when you think about it, your brain always putting two pictures together is a lot of work as it is.
Yeah.
So we build up fixation first. So that's just looking at something, keeping it one and clear. Then we build up eye jumps. So we're able to see one thing and then jump your eyes to the next thing without having to look at every single thing in between. And then we build up tracking, so fluid movement. So we do different exercises, lots of different exercises, lots of chart reading and putting noses on ladybugs, as you remember.
Oh, yes. Remember that, yes.
Balls on the ceiling hanging down.
I've only done the ball on the ceiling thing once. Now this hand is slower. It's hard to really get it good. But what would you say is your most, now this is very general, but what you think is your most used exercise or whatever?
The only thing that is really, really universal for me is the Brock string. I don't think anyone's gotten out of my clinic without using the Brock string.
No.
So you use the Brock string a lot.
Obviously, I was going to ask about that. Yeah, you can explain the Brock string is. Why I saw the Brock string is like this Brock person got a stand everybody because it's just a string, nothing special.
He tell everybody he made it, so he named it after himself. So it's basically a string with beads on it.
Yeah.
That you hold directly under your nose, right in between your eyes.
Yeah.
You hold it straight, hold it taut. And so this is an eye teaming exercise. So we use the Brock string to be able to tell if your eyes are both meeting in the same spot. So if somebody without an eye turn, so typically not you, but sometimes you, we get there sometimes, looks at one of those beads, they can see one bead. Yeah. And because your eyes are always seeing two images, but you can only fuse those two images in one spot, you're seeing two strings going into and going out of the bead. Okay, so your strings are going to make an X, meeting at that bead. So if you're seeing that X, we know that both of your eyes are meeting in exactly the same spot as each other.
Good.
So with a whole bunch of different ways with the Brock string, we can build up control of your vision system.
Which leads me to these. This is my red. People can't see it. I'm showing Karen the red beam glasses. I use these on doing my Brock string exercises. And why do I do that? Why is that important?
So with your eyes specifically, we want to know what each of your eyes is seeing. So we use the red and green glasses a lot. Sometimes we use them to make only one, your eyes can only each see one image. So we know where the images are compared to each other. So your eyes, so I put like a dot up that's red and a dot up that's green. So it cancels out with one of your eyes each so that we can see how close your two images are together. We use it with the Brock string because you have an inner eye turn, to be really, really clear which string is where, basically.
Yeah, that's what I said. When I just found just then for fun, you can see that. I mean, I've done this a million times. You can see how my eyes are, the green image and the red image. Like you can see them distinct. When I look at them normally, it's just like they kind of
right. So because you're seeing two separate images all the time. One of your pictures is green and one is red. If I put those on, I would see like a swirling pattern of red and green because my eyes are fusing my two images together.
Are they? So if you're looking through the green lens with your left eye, let's say that's what I'm doing. And the red. So would you? They wouldn't be. It wouldn't be yellow. It would be just like.
It could. It's usually a mix of the colors. People see it different ways.
Blue.
Some people call it like a brownish yellow. We call it luster, or just like a fighting of the eyes. If it's red, it's green. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
Everyone says it's different depending on your perception. As opposed to though, if you're not using one eye, it's only red, or if you don't use the other eye, it's only green. And if you see double, there's a red and a green, but separated, not that nice mixing of the two.
Yeah. So like with it, if you guys put on, yeah, I don't know necessarily if you have double vision or not. I don't think you do, but I tell you do. But if you put on these glasses or wore these for a long time, would they negatively affect your sight? Because you definitely see two separate images, kind of. You see two separate. Your eyes look through two different, obviously, lenses. Like you would.
You'd still be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like for us, if we put it on, because our eyes are always seeing slightly separate pictures,
that's
but
true.
that's what gives us depth perception, the fact that we see separate pictures. So that little disparity is what creates the ability to see depth. So if we were to wear them for a while, I mean, it wouldn't be super comfortable, and it will create some issues for people.
They look cool though.
And they do. I think they look great.
They
look great when you have them on.
And I guess Carol, see what's your you pick one more exercise or one or two more exercises that were you think for me that are or for anybody are really your favorite, but they're really helpful for.
Sure. So one thing we do a lot for you is build up the tactile feedback between what your left eye is seeing and what you're touching in order to kind of orient where you are in space and where things are in space. So that's why you did that ball, hitting that ball back and forth, both of your hands back and forth.
Yeah.
We were using only your left image to do that, because we want your left image to really get a sense of where the picture is in space compared to what it's seeing, kind of orienting yourself with reality. The same thing with those trying to get a dot straight from, we did ladybug noses, but you can just put a circle on a page and dot right in the center of it.
I got pretty good at those.
You got really good.
I got pretty good at the ladybug noses.
Yeah, you do your homework a lot.
Yeah, I do.
It makes a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Good.
So you always come back at the end of the week with something like 5 times better than it was when I started.
I'm doing those computer. I have a lot of help with there's one that look at a fireball, and I the peripheral, but I can do it in the right image. It's simple. I get it like in like a millisecond. But my left eye, I can't really see the whole image on the left eye. Because it moves down like to the keyboard. It was like way so it's in like a. This is probably more of a trickier question than. But the other one is the line is like. Sorry?
You wear your glasses when you do that?
Yeah.
Just
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I'm wearing these glasses. Since they're not. I'm holding my red and green glasses.
Yeah. Your regular glasses.
I wear these. I wear my glasses when I do home exercises.
You also just need your glasses for basic clarity, right? So
in that left eye.
Yeah. So that makes a big difference.
Right. There's one of those the arrows, the up and down arrows. So is that for the computer thing? I have to look at the image. I see all the arrows all the time in my right image. I see that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I
So that is a saccadic eye movement, so eye jump exercise. So again, building on all the different movements your eyes are supposed to be able to do. So in order to do that, you need to use your periphery to decide really quickly where the arrow is. Then you need to be able to look at it really quickly, not having to look through all the different parts of the screen, you can just jump your eyes right to that arrow, and then you can perceive what it is, what direction is it pointing in, because in this exercise, you have to indicate on the keyboard if the arrow is going up, down, left, or right. So it's kind of integrating a few different things. Yeah.
And the other one is the like the method of strings, kind of like there's like a line going from an arrow to 1, 2, 3, or 4, and they get all messed up in the middle. So what does that do?
Yeah, so that's the line maze. So there's a whole bunch of different lines like swirling together. You're tracking, so that's that tracking movement that we call them pursuits. So are you able to fluidly track the line the whole way? If you jump along the string when you're not supposed to, you might mix up what string you're looking at, and it'll lead you to the wrong number.
Yeah.
So it also helps with figure ground, which is a visual perceptual skill. So being able to take what's important, so what you are paying attention to, and deciphering it from the background. So when you're reading and when we are skimming a text, we're using some figure ground discrimination there to pick out what words are important. You're trying to figure out what line you're following. So it does involve your visual perceptual skills.
Right. Okay, good. Well, I was gonna just end on that, but I gotta ask Dr. Hutchens about this is nothing to do with eye development or concussion, but explain to everybody, I'm sure, because everybody wants to know the rods and cones. So what are the rods? It's very simple. I don't even remember this. This
all
is
good.
like grade 5 math science.
So rods and cones. The cones are mostly in your central vision area. They're all throughout the eye, but they're highly densely packed in the central area, and they're responsible for color vision and fine detail. So when you're reading a word, seeing colors, deciphering it, that's your cones that are doing that. The rods, they are more involved in motion detection. So they're more in the periphery part of your eye, but again, they go through most of the eye, but they're mostly in the periphery. They're sensitive to motion and basically black and white. They don't really care about color. So if something moves quickly and you turn your head quickly to see what was that would be your rods picking up on that. But your cones aren't processing the quick movement, they're processing the fine detail. So
say there's a biology question, but like the antelope in the Serengeti. It looks across and sees like a tiger. So your rods will pick up the tiger, and then there are cones to pick up the cones to pick up the tiger. The rods to pick up the tiger. That's going to try to eat you. It's trying at you, trying to catch you. So you do it, and you have to do that like. Obviously, you can't just stare at them forever because you have to run away. But so this obviously works very quickly.
A good example of like how they're used and how rods are more involved in your peripheral system, though, and opening the periphery, and the cones are more involved in that fine detail fixation, though, is if someone, everybody knows somebody who has, bad eyes and they have a thick pair of glasses. And you put that person on the other end of the room and you say, they have their glasses on, like, how many fingers am I holding up? And then they're using their cones and their central vision to figure that out. So they take off their glasses, they're like, whoa, you're blurry. They might not be able to pick out how many fingers you have up anymore, but if you just wave and say, okay, start running if I wave my hand, stop if I stop moving my hand, they'll be able to run all the way to you, even though they really can't see very well because rods pick up emotion.
So that's cool enough. But so I guess it's like 2 times. So if anybody listeners are in St. John's or in Newfoundland for that matter, where can they find you guys? Or if they're anywhere they want to come to Newfoundland to get their vision therapy with Dr. Hutchens and Kara.
Sure. The easiest place probably is to track us down at the visiondevelopmentcenter.com. We are located in St. John's on 100 Brookfield Road. And anybody can call us if they have questions. And even if they're not in St. John's, we can probably direct them to somebody who could help them in their area. So we've got a pretty wide network. I know people all across North America, even all across the world. And you can call us at 709-368-1155 or shoot us an email.
Great. And is there any social media you want to advertise your site or your clinic?
We have a Facebook page, and that's all we have right now. It is, if you just search, I think it should be just the Vision Development Center, you should find it.
Yeah.
Or if you put my name, you should find it as well.
Yeah, okay. So Dr. Sarah Hutchens and vision therapist Kara Osmond. It's been a slice. And
Thanks, Nick.
yeah, so thanks a lot for doing this.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you again soon.
Thanks. Music at the beginning of this podcast is by Ben Sound. www.bensound.com.